Please, ladies and gentlemen, remember, a visitor visa, I tell clients all the time, it's a golden goose, okay? It is a golden goose. Don't ruin it by getting involved with all kinds of things. ICE and CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, they can look at your laptops, they can look at your cell phones, they can look at papers in your bag. If you're coming on visitor visa and you're not some nana and nani or some dada and dadi and you're coming to visit some grandchildren and children, and you're coming here for a period of time longer than 2-3 weeks, they're going to start asking those questions, because the first thing that comes into mind is, are you looking for some cash job for the 3 months you're here? They can look at how many times you're traveling to the US and how long you're staying for. Now, if you're an individual who has a life in India, why are you coming to the US for 3 months? Why are you coming to the US for 5 months? Now, those are going to be issues that they're going to be looking at much more carefully. So think about this very carefully. A lot of people on the immigration side saying, you don't have to open the door, you don't have to open the door, you don't have to open the door. And I'm saying you don't have to open the door, but you should think twice. Because if an ICE officer, now if they have a warrant, then you have to open your door. You can say, I want to see that warrant, okay? I would say, look, you give you that. But understand this, the moment you open up Pandora's box and you say, I want to see a warrant.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਦੋਸਤੋ, ਸਾਂਝਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ USA TV ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ. So today we are sitting in the office of Mr. Manad law office. So we have some very important issues for you every week. So we're going to tell you what's happening in the immigration world. And right now everybody knows that after Trump administration, there's a lot of things going on. So this not every attorney is telling you the truth, what's going on. Some social media, YouTube channel, they don't know what they have to do, right? But they're still giving you advice. So today we are talking with Mr. Dev Banad Viswanath. So he is a long time in the immigration. So first I would like to thanks Mr. Dev Viswanath ji. So
Thank you very much, Balanaji. Thank you very much for being on this show.
I would like to tell you, I met him a long time ago. So when there was a one name, Mr. Michael Fulwani. So they used to work together. So that time I heard that these have the only firm. They also have office in India and office in New York too, right? So I still remember those days. So we used to work together. So I always, whatever we did, so they have a big sport and they do the right thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's the number one rule, you know, for all immigration attorneys. And I would hope that that's what you look for, is someone who knows the immigration law, and as well as that are telling their clients what's true and what's not true. It's okay to give hope, but you shouldn't sell dreams if there's no reality.
Right. So, Mr. Dev, can you tell me that since how long you have this office, and since where you study? Can you tell me before, because this is the first interview. I would like to let the people about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I have been doing immigration law almost strictly since 2001. In 2002, I started working with organizations on asylum cases, and we did a lot of post 9/11 Patriot Act detention work. And then I started working with Mr. Michael Fulwani sometime around 2004, 2005. And I started my own practice in 2008. And I have had this office in Queens since 2010, I guess. And I've basically been doing immigration work since then. You know, I don't really dance outside of that, because immigration changes every day. And if you don't keep up with it, it's very difficult to be as strong as you can be.
And today I just want to make sure that asylum case you told me you was doing. So right now, what do you want to say about the asylum case? And also, I heard that there was a one case when the High Court told the Mr. Trump administration, one guy, they sent him back, so they have to bring him over here. So something happened new about that case?
Yes, okay. So this is the individual, this is the barber who was illegally removed from the United States. The Department of Homeland Security accused him of being a gangster, and they noticed a tattoo on him, and they sent him out of the United States. In fact, he was illegally in the United States, and the government admitted that it was an administrative error, and they said that there was no way that they could bring him back. Well, a federal district court judge ordered the Department of Justice to bring him back, And in fact, the Trump administration reached out to the Supreme Court. And today, Justice John G. Roberts gave a temporary order from the court blocking the district court judge from ordering the government to bring him back. So we'll have to see what this develops on.
Okay. And I heard that some people have improved the asylum case, right? So do they stop for a green card in these days?
Okay, so let me just start off by saying this, that as it pertains to asylum, especially if you were born in India, okay, the general belief is that asylum is not really affordable to Indians, okay? Whether you are from Punjab, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, wherever you're from, there are people with legitimate asylum claims. But there was a time when you could essentially work with somebody and they would just give you a bunch of papers and people would get social security cards and pakka, you'd get your work authorization, you carry on with your life. Those days are gone, you know, and I am very adamant about this. I will represent asylum claims. I have represented people from India in asylum claims, but I will only do that if we have legitimate documentation, affidavits, if we have proof from individuals who are willing to speak about you and that your story matches correctly. If you just come up with a story, you just want to stay in the United States, I am advising everybody, please understand that it's not the right way. And if you get found to commit what's called fraudulent asylum, then forget about any other relief. It's not going to happen.
So what do you mean the legitimate? So what kind of legitimate case you had done previously in the political asylum?
Yeah, so I mean, I've had people with political asylum where they're very involved in politics and they can actually show they were in newspapers, had video of them, they've got email threats, they've got relatives abroad that are talking about it. Occasionally I've had religious conversion also. You know, I had a gentleman who was homosexual. You know, there are definitely areas of asylum where it is possible. But again, it's all case by case. It's not that, okay, no political asylum, no religious, but you have to have something to back it up. One gentleman, he was a Brahmin family, married, and he kept on saying, I converted to Christianity. And I said to him point blank, look, there are so many Christians in India, so it's very difficult to say you're going to have a problem. But then after the sixth time, I noticed something about him, and I said, look, I don't know if you're gay or homosexual or not, but I don't have any judgment on this. Just letting you know. Then after 2, 3, 4 times, 6th time, he says to me, sir, I'm also homosexual. And so now, look, I say this only because that changed the story. Married, 2 children, and converted. Everything about him, no matter where he goes in India, is going to be a problem.
And also I heard about the VAWA cases, right?
Yes.
So right now I think they are very strict on the VAWA cases.
Yes.
The people who already got the green card, who approve. So what do you think, they should worry or not?
Yeah. No, so I think that if you have a WOW case and the 360 has been approved, and if you filed for permanent residence already, you should not be worried. You should be prepared for time delays. That's definite. It's going to continue to take it. And just know if you have not been granted yet, it is always possible the government's going to continue to look at it. Because the Trump administration is saying that the previous administration was not looking at cases properly. So they're telling the people, no, if you still have a case, please look at it, make sure that there's no fraud, then say yes.
So what do you say to the our audience about the travel plan? Some people who already have a green card, right? So they still scared because it's a very, right now it's very scary. So everybody is thinking before they go to India or any other country. So what do you want to suggest them about the travel ban?
Right. So one thing I want to say is people that have asylum in particular, when you're talking about travel, be very careful about it, okay? Make sure that anything in your past is very clean, that you did, announced any name changes, make sure that you didn't put any documentation in that asylum claim that wasn't true. If you travel and they come to find out, this is the perfect time to catch you on it. Also, there are a lot of people that have gotten Indian passports after getting asylum. Okay, that is also a big no-no. If you are still a green card holder or an asylee and you have an Indian passport, you better believe, I don't care if you're only traveling to Costa Rica or you're traveling back to India. If you're showing an Indian passport during your travel, it could be an easy way to pull your asylum claim and then put you in deportation. And as it pertains to travel as green card holders, look, if you're only going for 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, I wouldn't worry so much about it. But I would say make sure you have your driver's license. Make sure you have your bank statements. Make sure you filed your taxes. So you can show immigration you have a life in America. Bas.
And how about the people who got citizenship on asylum case?
Yes.
So what do you want to say about to them if they want to go India? They fine?
No, so generally speaking, let me start off by saying the Indian government is not fine with it, okay? They will usually deny an OCI
How about the
claim.
USA government?
Yeah. So the USA government, once you're a US citizen, may allow it to happen. However, they are within rights to look to see whether or not there was some lafda done, right? So if they think that maybe you really are not afraid of going to India just because you're a US citizen, they may pull something. Also, just remember this, within the first few years of becoming a citizen, immigration can administratively pull your citizenship, saying that you lied on your application or something like that. After 2 years, then they have to bring you to federal court, and that's what the law says. Okay, so if they bring you to federal court, then the U.S. Attorney's Office can bring a case to revoke your citizenship.
And what do you want to say the people who don't go to stay to India? They most time they went to Nepal, right? By the Nepal they went to India, then they can come back to Nepal. From Nepal they can take the flight to United States anyway. So,
Right.
So what do you suggest them?
Well, look, I mean, look, for a long time, people have done things like this. You know, a lot of people of Israeli descent, they may be U.S. citizens also, and they would travel to Iran because they still have family in Iran, right? Now, but they've traveled to Israel too. So if the Iranian government sees an Israeli passport or a stamp for Israel, they're not going to let you in. Similarly, in this situation. So what Israelis will often do is they'll use their Israeli passport to go to Israel, and they'll only use the U.S. passport to go to Iran. Now, as it pertains to Indians who may be going to India and they've come this route, the problem is going to be that these people are always leaving a trail. Once you leave and you get stamped, you're leaving a trail somewhere. So the big question is, if immigration ever comes to find out that this is what you've done, it's a loss. Now think about this. People who take pictures of you. You go to some family event. They took a picture of you.
Oh, yeah.
Now they posted that picture.
And I heard some people, you know, they came over here as a tourist visa. They spent like 5 months, less than 6 months, whatever the entry they had, right? They did work over here. They sent some money via Western Union or any, you know, the people who sending the money. And when they coming next time, so they stop at the airport and they find out when they was working here. So then some was deported.
Yes.
So on the visitor visa.
Yes.
So what do you want to tell them? So what they should do?
Right. Please, ladies and gentlemen, remember, a visitor visa, I tell my clients all the time, it's a golden goose, okay? It is a golden goose. Don't ruin it by getting involved with all kinds of things. ICE and CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, they can look at your laptops. They can look at your cell phones. They can look at papers in your bag. They can look at how many times you're traveling to the U.S. and how long you're staying for. Now, if you're an individual who has a life in India, why are you coming to the U.S. for 3 months? Why are you coming to the U.S. for 5 months? Now, those are going to be issues that they're going to be looking at much more carefully. If you're coming on visitor visa and you're not some nana and nani or some dada and dadi and you're coming to visit some grandchildren and children, and you're coming here for a period of time longer than 2-3 weeks, they're going to start asking those questions, because the first thing that comes into mind is, are you looking for some cash job for the 3 months you're here? You know.
Another, right now it's very scary when the people heard the name of ICE, right?
Yes.
Some people who has a green card, right?
ICE is not nice.
ICE is not nice, right? But ice is good for scotch. Okay. Some people, you know, who already has a green card. Some people, they approve for green card and they did not get the green card just marriage basis or any other basis. So I know the people, they're not coming out from the home. They're not going to work. They're scared. So if the people already have a green card, so they should scare or no?
No, as long as you've done, the thing that you have to remember is, did you ever, because there are a lot of people who may have done something that was a little bit wrong, somehow that's gone away, and they filed for a green card, got the green card.
Okay.
You have to think about that. Did you do anything in your past that may have created a reason for immigration to come back? Because this is the time when they will do it. Now, next to that is people that have been approved for a green card, but they don't have it yet. So those people who have been approved for a green card but didn't get the actual card, they can one, apply for immigration to get a stamp in their passport, and two, they can carry around proof of the approval notice. And if they get stopped by ICE or immigration services, they can show them the approval, show them if they have the stamp, show them the stamp, and they should be fine.
But they should not travel, right?
Okay, now immigration says with an approval notice, you're allowed to travel. I have always advised my clients that the best practice is, because even if immigration, US doesn't give you a problem, some other airport might give you a problem. Always apply for a stamp in your passport, then you go.
Okay. If sometime if the ICE came your home and knocked the door, right? So what you should do?
Okay, so think about this very carefully. A lot of people on the immigration side saying, you don't have to open the door, you don't have to open the door, you don't have to open the door. And I'm saying you don't have to open the door, but you should think twice. Because if an ICE officer, now if they have a warrant, then you have to open your door. And you can say, I want to see that warrant, okay? I would say, look, give you that. But understand this. The moment you open up Pandora's box and you say, I want to see a warrant, remember two things. ICE can wait outside that apartment, so you better know what your exit strategy is going to be. And two, you need to think about the fact that if they do get a hold of you, they're going to be much harsher. Nobody's giving you the ability to go travel out. They're all going to be thinking from that perspective. Having said that, though, you do not have to let them in unless they show you a warrant. Now, one more thing. ICE will say, I'm coming for this person, and you happen to be here. So if they're checking on one person who they know they're looking for, and then you happen to be there and you don't have status as well, my suggestion, you leave right away. If ICE asks you for any questions, as long as you're not in that situation, I don't have to answer anything. I'm not.
Yeah, so you mean even if they come to your home, even if you don't open the door, so they can wait outside, right? You have to leave the home. You cannot stay home 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours. Right. So when they come, so you have to response them.
Well, they are. And the thing is, a lot of times, ICE, we have to be realistic. ICE is not going to stay there for 48 hours on somebody who's never really had a big criminal issue. But we don't know when they're leaving. We don't know how they're doing this. Maybe they'll time it. Maybe they'll watch the place for 2-3 days. I had a client once 4:30 in the morning. They came one day, spoke to the father-in-law. They came one day or 2 days later, picked up the guy 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So
you mean that when the ICE came, you have to respond them. You have to tell them. Mostly, I heard that the ICE only goes to the people who have a criminal record. Is it right?
Yeah. So ICE has limited resources, like all government agencies. So it's not unlimited. So they have to pick and choose. If we have 10 million, 11 million, 12 million people in the United States without documentation, who am we going to go after first? So people with criminal backgrounds are the first on the chopping block. And let me put this in place. Domestic violence and driving while ability impaired or driving under the influence, DUI, those are all cases where ICE can say you're deportable. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's an important subject.
And also you do the adoption cases?
We do adoption cases. Now, if you're talking about a place like India, just remember adoption is not straightforward and it can be very time consuming. The big two things that you have to think about is one, do you have the funds? Okay. And two, is the child young enough that you can get the adoption done before they cross? So if a child is under 16 years old, you still have an option. But if that child crosses over 16, then it doesn't matter when you adopt them after that. They won't get immigration related. You can still be their father or mother, but you can't keep them for immigration if they were adopted over the age of 16. One last thing for people to remember is you need to spend 2 years with that child before the immigration process starts, okay? Usually that happens before the adoption, but that's an important. Most people don't have the ability to
I know. Some people don't have, so they try, but they cannot approve, right?
For 4 or 5 months, they'll go, then they'll stay another 6 months. But then the problem is they just...
So you may continue 2 years, right?
No, you could even go and come back, So 6 months. But you have to show that you're living there. That often is not easy. If you're just going to stay, because the law says you're supposed to be living with that child. They're in your legal and physical custody. But if you're going to visit, then immigration can come back. And I've had a client like that, where immigration said, you know what? We see that you traveled for more than 2 years, but we don't have proof that you're living in India when you said you were doing this.
Okay, if in case the child is here, right? If the child is here and his visa expires, if somebody can adopt?
Okay, so interesting. Yes, that adoption has nothing to do with immigration from that perspective, but it's going to be a much longer process once you get it done. First, you have to adopt the child. They're going to have to find out about the parents. They're going to have to find out the child has been abandoned. So sometimes we'll do what's called
the same thing here. 2 years. He's supposed to be live together 2 years, right?
yeah. One of the things that they talk about is special immigrant juvenile. Sometimes we'll apply for that with a child because they don't have any parents. And then after getting special immigrant juvenile, then we'll look for the adoptive parents.
Another question: the people who are living here long time, like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or more over 65-year-old. So if they want to be citizen, they are not able to speak English. So what do you tell them?
Yeah, so if the first thing I always say to people is, look, if you think, okay, if you're under 15 years, 20 years, 10 years, okay, depending on your age, but you don't really speak English, think about this. Can you read and write English already? And then watch the U.S. television shows, sitcoms, Sesame Street. Those are one of the best ways to pick up English for speaking purposes. If you are 50 and you've been here for over 20 years as a green card holder, 55 and you've been here over 15 years, 65 and you've been over 10 years, then you can waive the language requirement, but you still have to take the test. So studying for that 100 civics questions is still mandatory.
I'm just talking about the waive the language.
Only the language. So you'll take the test in Punjabi, Hindi, Gujarati, Kannada, whatever the language of your
For
home.
the medical issues.
Okay. Now, if you're unable to learn, okay, if a doctor, qualified doctor says you're unable to learn, then they can fill out the form and explain very clearly. Some doctors don't do that. They just say, oh, unable to learn. And then immigration is going to come back and saying, no, please tell me. How are they unable? The problem that they have. So if a doctor says that you're unable to learn and that's why you're stuck, then immigration has the authority to accept it and then also either waive the test or give you the test in home language.
And how about the marriage cases? If somebody marries with a citizen, how long the procedure if the case is continue going in good condition, right?
So let me tell you, right now the Trump administration is did target number one on what they call fraud. Okay, now marriage-based cases are first on the chopping block because so many people think like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get married. So one is making sure that your documentation and your relationship is very well documented. Two, difference in culture, difference in religion. If you happen to be somebody from South Asia, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, now all of a sudden you marry some American who's born and raised here, you're going to have a very different attitude, different cultural difference, and immigration office is going to see that. Also age difference, particularly age difference with, well, it really doesn't matter, man or woman, if it's too big. But also age difference where the woman is older than the guy, it's going to be a red flag. They're going to want to know more. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but they're going to want to know more. How is your relationship real? If you can document all of the relationship, if you can document how you met, where you're going, and all that, speak comfortably about it, it's going to be pretty straightforward, except for the fact of time. Now, under this administration, they're going to bring back interviews for everybody, and it's going to take longer. That's the one thing.
And how about the fancy cases, right? And sometimes the people go there India and they get engagement and after that they apply over here because they know if they're going to apply for a green card, it's going to take a while. So she or he can come here, so then they can apply their green card in the United States.
I don't recommend fiancé cases at all. One, I don't see the benefit of a couple of months. Two, you almost spend the same amount of money overall. You go through almost exactly the same process while you're abroad, meaning they go through an interview, they have to file this paperwork, and then, God forbid, you come to the United States, you have 90 days to get married and file your adjustment of status application. If you miss any of that, then the whole case goes for a toss. So my suggestion is, unless it's absolutely necessary, you stay off of a fiancé case, move forward with a proper marriage, and go through the